So today we're going to talk about another estate planning strategy that deals with the estate tax, and it's going to be taking appreciable assets and either gifting them away or selling them. And again, I'm Michael Redden, and if you have any comments or questions, please put comments below, and I'll answer those questions. If you'd like to plan with me, then go to reddenlawoffice.com and schedule a meeting, or click on the link in the description. So we've been talking about the estate tax and the three basic kinds of strategies and things that most people use to deal with them. And now we're going to talk about one of those strategies in more detail. This strategy really comes from someone who has an asset that's really going to grow in value. We already know that we have a large estate. We already know we're going to have some estate tax that are going to come due. Now we're going to try to kind of limit that exposure and control that, even though our estate's still growing and we're accumulating wealth. What does this usually come with? Things like real estate, farmland, a business, things like art, precious jewels and things like that, things that kind of grow in value with those kind of things. And one of our big objectives with the estate tax is to know how much we're going to pay so we can plan to pay it or fund it or get rid of that liability. And that's really difficult when people are still accumulating wealth. When they've got those rental properties that maybe there's two of them and they're worth 500 grand today, but they could be worth $1 million in 15 years. And that really changes that calculus, because if we're going to put money aside or cash or kind of plan to pay for that, that can be a moving target. And one of the ways that we deal with that is through either gifting or sale of the asset. When we're talking about gifting, one of the things we might do is create a trust that has our kids and things as the beneficiaries, or maybe even has our spouse or someone else. There's lots of different ways we can kind of do it. That part's not important. What's important is that we're going to put the asset into that trust, or maybe we're going to give it outright to the kids. Maybe we want to give them part of their inheritance early. And when we give it to them or put it in that trust, we still have to file that gift tax return, let the government know what we did. Probably won't be any gift tax due as long as we don't give away over at the time of this recording in May 2019, over $11 million worth of stuff in our lifetime. But the point is, we're going to give that away. If 3 years pass, that's no longer included in the amount that we're going to say we're worth when we die. And so we got rid of it at $1 million. It may be worth $2 million, but it's not going to be included in our estate. That's going to be something that the kids are going to have to plan for. Or if we design that trust right, it's never going to be included in estate tax again, forever. Another thing that we kind of like to do with it is, a lot of folks, they have that and that's their main income producing asset. They can't do without it. It could be a business. It could be that rental home and things like that. What we're going to do in that instance usually is we're going to set up some kind of a sale. There's all kinds of different ways that we can structure the sale so that you end up getting a lot of the money and things back in return. But it's going to be usually some kind of promissory note. If it's a business, the business can still hire you. You can still be the manager of the company. You can still be on the board of directors. There are ways we can do those things to give you some kinds of control with it. But you're going to sell that ownership interest in it. And you're going to sell it either to your heirs or a trust or something like that. And you're going to get an income stream coming back to you. What does this do for you? Well, a couple of things. It kind of freezes that. If that business is worth $1 million today and could be worth $10 million in 5 or 6, 7 years, now your estate is only going to be valuing it at whatever's left on that promissory note. You could have still participated in all the upside and things on that. There are all kinds of techniques. We can talk about that later. But we've now made, instead of paying estate tax on $10 million, we're only due with estate tax on the $1 million. And you can also then do some other things like forgive that debt when you pass if you want to do it. You can do life insurance kind of things to fund that debt. There's all kinds of ways that you can kind of deal with that. But this is the strategy to deal with estate tax, where we're going to get things out of your estate and we want to freeze the value of it. We want to take a look at it and say, if you're worth $30 million today, if you're worth $2 million today, if you're worth $500,000 today, we want to make sure that that is what you are worth at the time you pass away, or less, at least in the IRS's eyes when we look at that estate tax. You can still benefit from these things, but that's kind of what we do. This is not a tactic that is used for everyone. It tends to be folks with businesses or those kinds of ongoing income producing assets. They don't tend to do it very early in life. They start looking at that kind of thing around retirement or around major life events because they're looking to take a step back anyway. And this is how we can do some estate tax planning with it and still get them to cash out of it. But it's something you have to think about even now when you're doing your base estate plans, if you've got those kinds of assets that go with it. So that is one of the major tactics that we'll use and strategies we'll use to deal with the estate tax. There's all different kinds of specific techniques and trusts and things you can do that with, but that's the theory behind it. If it's worth $1 million today, I want to pay taxes on the $1 million today, not the $10 million it's going to be worth in 5, 6, 7 years. So that's kind of what we're looking at with that. If you have any questions about that, please leave them in the comments below. If you'd like to plan with me or talk about your situation, you can schedule a planning session at reddenlawoffice.com. Click on schedule a meeting or clicking at the link in the description.